Okay, so they want us to apply these concepts of increasing, decreasing, and constant to like an example. So it says some recent studies suggest that a teenager sends an average of 60 texts per day. For each of the following scenarios, find the linear function that describes the relationship between the input value and the output value. Then determine whether the graph of the function is increasing, decreasing, or constant. Okay, so I'm going to say it's based on how many texts per day, right? So I'm going to say D is going to be number of days. And what is going to be the output? I'm going to call my function f of D. The output is going to be total number of texts that the teen sends. Okay? So that's this idea. 60 texts every day. So day 1, 60 texts. Day 2, 120 texts at that point, because there will be 60 more, right? Okay, so that's this idea here. So in the first part, it says the total number of texts the teen sends is considered a function of time in days. Okay, so that's what we did. The input is the number of days, so this is my input. And the output is the total number of texts. There's my output. I guess I already did that part. Okay. The let's see. The output is a number of days, and the input is the number of days, and the output is the total number of texts sent. Okay, now we have to come up with the function. So it's going to be f of d. So we're going to say this function, based on the number of days, is equal to 60 times d, right? So if 100 days go by, it's going to be 60 times 100. That's how many texts were sent out. Okay. Now, is this an increasing function? Well, this would be the slope right here. So if you think about graphing it, you start out 0 days, 0 texts, right? Day 1, 60 texts. Day 2, 120 texts. Day 3, 180 texts. And you get this line going like this. Now that's just a graph, but you don't have to do that. They didn't ask us to. But that's a picture of what's going on. This is an increasing function, linear function. Okay, let's see what the next one says. A teen has a limit of 500 texts per month in his or her data plan. The input is the number of days, so I'm going to say D for days, and the output is the total number of texts remaining for the month. So let's call this then G of D. That's how many texts you have left. You've got your cap of 500, okay? So I'm going to say G of D is equal to, I've got 500 to start with, right? So if no days go by, I've got 500 texts I can send, minus, and then if the teen is sending 60 every day, it's going to be 60 times D, right? So after day 1, now there's only 440 texts left. After day 2, there's only 380 texts left, and so on and so forth. If you were to graph this, so you're starting out with 500 texts on day 0, but on day 1, it's going to go down, right? And then day 2, it's going to go down. And it's going to look like that. Well, I'm not going to go in the negative, but you're going to run out of minutes, and then they're probably going to charge you. But that would be then the equation, the function. Do you think that's increasing or decreasing? It's decreasing. You can see it's going down, right? Negative slope there. Okay, negative 60. You might be asking, well, could you write that as G of D equals negative 60D plus 500? Yeah, you could write it that way. It would be in the slope-intercept form. So that's, I don't know that you want to write it that way, but you could. You might want to write it that way. Okay. So we have one more. A teen has an unlimited number of texts in his or her data plan for a cost of $50 per month. The input is the number of days. The output is the cost of texting each month. So we'll say cost of D. All right, so it's, we're saying, okay, the input is the number of days, but you know what? The cost is always going to be $50. It's a flat fee. So it doesn't really matter how many days go by. It's going to be $50 a month. Okay. Oh, yeah, texting each month. Okay, so $50 per month. This would be a constant function. So you can think about a teen that doesn't send any texts, $50. Teen that sends, a bunch of texts the next day, still 50. And day 2, still 50. Okay? Because it's just a flat fee for the month. It's not $50 per day. It's $50 for the month. Okay. So I guess you could do this by months. That seems a little confusing now. But that's what we're putting. Okay. The cost is still going to be $50 per month. It doesn't really matter how many days. It's still like if 29 days are in the month, or 30 days are in the month, or 31 days are in the month, it's still costing $50 per month.